The Heist of Mona Lisa. Amidst the bustling streets of Paris, where the aroma of freshly baked pastries intermingles with the sounds of bustling traffic, lies a tale of love, adventure, and family. Meet Elena and Stefan, a married couple in their early 30s, whose love story blossomed amidst the vibrant landscapes of their youth. Elena, a history teacher with a passion for unraveling the mysteries of the past, possesses a beauty that defies time, her blonde locks framing piercing blue eyes that have seen the rise and fall of civilizations. Stefan, a sports teacher whose athleticism belies his gentle demeanor, carries himself with the confidence of someone who has conquered both the playing field and the heart of his beloved. Their union blessed them with two remarkable children. Sarah, a 16-year-old brunette with cascading locks of long hair and captivating blue eyes that mirror her mother's, and Matteo, an 18-year-old whose passion for gaming often transports him to worlds beyond the tangible. Despite their differences, the family finds solace in their shared moments, seeking adventure and discovery as they navigate the intricacies of life together. As the sun casts its golden hues upon the city of lights, the family finds themselves immersed in the grandeur of the Louvre Museum, where history whispers secrets from every corner and art breathes life into forgotten tales. Amongst the masterpieces adorning the walls, Elena's eyes sparkle with reverence, her fingertips tracing the lines of ancient artifacts as if unraveling the threads of time itself. Beside her, Stefan stands tall, a pillar of strength and support, his gaze lingering on his family with a sense of pride that knows no bounds. Yet, amidst the splendor of their surroundings, Matteo's attention is drawn elsewhere, his fingers itching to grasp the controller that promises adventure with each press of a button. His mind dances with the allure of virtual realms, where heroes are forged and legends are born, his longing for escape a silent plea that echoes within the depths of his soul. As the family embarks on their journey through the annals of history, each member finds themselves confronted with the complexities of their own desires and aspirations. For Elena, it is a chance to impart her knowledge upon eager minds, breathing life into the stories that have shaped the world as we know it. For Stefan, it is an opportunity to revel in the simple joys of togetherness, cherishing each moment spent in the company of those he holds dear. And for Sarah and Matteo, it is a chance to discover themselves amidst the tapestry of their family's love, their hearts intertwined with the threads of destiny that bind them together. As they wander through the halls of the Louvre, each step a testament to the beauty of the human spirit, they find themselves on a journey that transcends time and space, weaving a tale of love, laughter, and the timeless bond of family. As the family stands before the enigmatic Mona Lisa, Elena's voice rings out with the authority of a seasoned historian. "Ah, the Mona Lisa," she begins, her eyes alight with passion. Also known as La Gioconda, this masterpiece by Leonardo da Vinci has captivated the hearts and minds of millions. Stefan leans in, his curiosity piqued. "What questions remain unanswered about this iconic painting?" he asks, his brow furrowed in contemplation. Elena smiles knowingly. One of the greatest mysteries surrounding the Mona Lisa is the identity of the woman depicted," she explains. "Some speculate that she was a lover of Leonardo, while others believe she may have been his own mother, Caterina. And then there are those who argue that the painting is, in fact, a self-portrait of the artist himself." Meanwhile, Matteo's attention begins to wane, his mind drifting to the digital realms he so often frequents. Stefan, noticing his son's lack of interest, admonishes him sternly. "Matteo, pay attention," he scolds. "This is history, not some game you can switch off whenever you please." Matteo rolls his eyes, a rebellious streak flickering within him. "Why should I listen to you drone on about some old painting?" he retorts, his voice tinged with defiance. Elena, sensing the tension, tries to lighten the mood. "Come on, Matteo, where's your sense of adventure?" she says with a playful grin. "You never know. Maybe the Mona Lisa holds the key to unlocking a secret level in your favorite game." Sarah, ever the peacemaker, interjects with a touch of humor. "Perhaps Matteo is yearning for the freedom of the open road," she suggests, a mischievous glint in her eye. "Who knows? Maybe he'll stumble upon his own adventure right here in France." The father sees Matteo yawning indifferently at the mother's stories and scolds him. "Matteo, if I catch you on that tablet again, you can forget about seeing the Eiffel Tower. Understood?" he warns, his tone firm. Matteo scoffs, retorting defensively, "You're treating me like a child. I'm old enough to make my own decisions." With a huff, Matteo mutters under his breath, "Fine, maybe I'll just stay here in France and enjoy some real freedom." Sarah, unable to resist teasing her brother, chimes in with a playful jab. "What freedom do you want? You can't even tie your shoelaces without tripping over yourself," she quips, a mischievous glint in her eye. "Maybe you'll catch the eye of a French girl when you stumble and fall." Elena sighs, shaking her head at the bickering. "Enough, you two," she admonishes gently. "Let's focus on the beauty of this moment, shall we?" As the family chuckles at Sarah's jest, Elena seizes the opportunity to regale them with a tale of intrigue. "Did you know," she begins, her voice tinged with excitement, "that the Mona Lisa was once stolen from the Louvre in one of the most famous heists in history?" Intrigued, Matteo's ears perk up at the mention of a daring theft. "Tell us more," he urges, his curiosity finally piqued. As Elena continues her captivating tale, she delves into the infamous robbery that shook the art world. The most famous robbery in history took place on the night of August 20th to 21st, 1911, she recounts, her voice tinged with intrigue. For over 2 years, the painting was sought after across the globe, with hefty rewards dangling as bait. There were even suspects as renowned as Pablo Picasso, she adds, her eyes glinting with excitement. But the true culprit turned out to be Vincenzo Peruggia, a former employee of the Louvre. He believed the painting rightfully belonged to Italy, given Leonardo da Vinci's Italian heritage. Matteo, still puzzled by the audacity of the theft, interrupts with a furrowed brow. "But how did they manage to steal it?" "Everything is so heavily secured," he wonders aloud. Elena, lost in her narrative, doesn't seem to hear him as she continues. When the Mona Lisa first arrived at the Louvre in 1815, it received an outpouring of adoration. Love letters and flowers flooded in, and it even had its own mailbox, she reveals, a smile playing at her lips. The painting may be small, only 77 by 53 centimeters, but its impact is monumental, she continues, her passion for history evident in every word. Painted on poplar wood, it bears no signature or date. However, researchers believe that Da Vinci discreetly placed his initials within the right eye of the Mona Lisa. Stefan, impressed by Elena's knowledge, interjects with admiration. "Hey, Elena, these people around us think you're the tour guide," he remarks, a hint of pride in his voice. "Look at how they hang on to your every word." Sarah, ever the source of levity, chimes in with a grin. Well, it's no surprise. Mom could make a history lesson sound like a comedy show, she teases, eliciting laughter from the family. As Elena's narrative reaches its crescendo, she continues with fervor, her words captivating not only her family, but also the crowd gathered around them. "Did you know," she begins, her voice carrying the weight of historical significance, "that the Mona Lisa cannot be bought or sold in accordance with French heritage law?" A murmur of intrigue ripples through the listeners as Elena shares this little-known fact. "Indeed," she continues, her excitement palpable, "the Mona Lisa, or Gioconda, does not have a set commercial price. But," she adds, her eyes sparkling with excitement, "according to the Guinness World Records, Leonardo da Vinci's masterpiece holds another distinction. It is the painting that has been insured at the highest monetary value in history." Gasps of disbelief echo through the crowd as Elena reveals the staggering sum. "On December 14, 1962, she declares, her voice ringing with authority, the Mona Lisa was insured for a record $100 million. A collective gasp fills the air as Elena's words sink in. "And," she continues, her voice rising with enthusiasm, "if we were to account for inflation and other financial considerations, experts estimate that the equivalent value in 2004 would have been approximately $628 million US. The crowd falls silent, awestruck by the magnitude of this revelation. Elena, her passion for history shining brightly, gazes out at the captivated audience, her heart filled with a sense of fulfillment. As Elena's voice echoes through the crowded room, a sudden, acrid smell fills the air, stinging the family's nostrils. Before they can react, a thick cloud of tear gas billows forth, enveloping the entire room in a choking haze. Coughs and cries of surprise erupt as panic grips the crowd. In mere moments, bodies collapse to the ground, overcome by the noxious fumes. The Spencer family, disoriented and gasping for air, struggle to make sense of the chaos unfolding around them. As consciousness begins to fade, their last coherent thoughts are of confusion and fear. What could have prompted such an attack? Who would target a group of innocent museum-goers? When the Spencer family finally regains consciousness, they find themselves surrounded by a sea of uniformed figures, their faces shrouded in shadow. Police officers stand before them, their expressions stern and unwavering as they demand the family's compliance. With hearts pounding and minds racing, the Spencers are led away, their steps heavy with uncertainty. As they are escorted to the interrogation room, a palpable sense of suspense and mystery hangs in the air, casting a shadow over their once idyllic vacation. What dark secrets lie beneath the surface of this seemingly ordinary trip to the Louvre? And will the Spencer family uncover the truth before it's too late? Only time will tell as they are thrust into a world of danger and intrigue, where every step brings them closer to the heart of a sinister conspiracy. In the heart of Paris, within the formidable walls of the police headquarters, Sarah Spencer finds herself seated in a cold, sterile interrogation room. Detective Matthew Petit, renowned for his sharp intellect and unwavering determination, fixes her with a penetrating gaze from across the table. Beside him sits Corinne Desir, his astute assistant, her expression unreadable as she sifts through a stack of files. The room itself is devoid of warmth, the air heavy with anticipation and apprehension. Fluorescent lights cast a harsh glare, illuminating the stark surroundings. A plain table, uncomfortable metal chairs, and bare walls adorned only with a solitary clock ticking away the seconds. Sarah's pulse quickens as she awaits the inevitable barrage of questions. She knows she's innocent, but the mere thought of being implicated in a crime sends shivers down her spine. "Miss Spencer," Detective Petit begins, his voice cutting through the tense silence like a blade. "We have reason to believe that you may have knowledge pertaining to the theft of a certain famous painting, a crime in which a man by the name of Alain Moineau is suspected to be involved." Sarah's heart sinks at the mention of Alain Moineau. She racks her brain, trying to recall any connection to the name, but it eludes her grasp. "I'm sorry, I don't know anyone by that name," she responds truthfully, her voice steady despite the turmoil raging within her. Detective Petit exchanges a knowing glance with Corinne before sliding a photograph across the table towards Sarah. "Perhaps this will jog your memory," he suggests, his tone tinged with suspicion. Sarah's eyes widen as she studies the image before her, a man with striking features and a mischievous glint in his eye. Recognition dawns on her like a bolt of lightning. "That's Arthur," she blurts out, her voice tinged with disbelief. "He's the cousin of my neighbor back in California." Detective Petit leans in, his expression unreadable. "Are you certain?" he presses, his tone laced with skepticism. Sarah nods fervently, her mind racing as she tries to piece together the puzzle before her. "Yes, I'm sure of it," she insists, her voice gaining strength with each word. "But I swear I had no idea he was involved in anything like this." As the interrogation stretches on, Sarah finds herself caught in a web of suspicion and intrigue. With each question, she struggles to prove her innocence while grappling with the unsettling realization that the answers she seeks may lie closer to home than she ever imagined. As Detective Petit continues his interrogation, he shifts his focus to Sarah's past, probing for any connections that may implicate her further in the crime. "Miss Spencer," he begins, his tone calculated and deliberate. "Can you tell us about your relationship with Arthur? Were you too close? Perhaps closer than you're letting on?" Sarah's heart races as she grapples with the implications of the detective's question. She knows that her past with Arthur could be twisted to paint her as an accomplice in the theft. With a deep breath, she summons the courage to respond. "We were friends," she replies carefully, choosing her words with precision. "But nothing more. We grew up together, but our paths diverged as we got older." Detective Petit eyes her skeptically, his gaze piercing through her facade. "And yet it seems that you and Arthur shared a teenage idyll," he presses, his tone accusatory. "Is it possible that your past relationship played a role in the theft of the painting?" Sarah's mind races as she struggles to formulate a response. She knows that her innocence hangs by a thread, and every word she speaks could be used against her. With a shaky voice, she denies any involvement in the crime. "No, detective," she insists, her voice trembling slightly. "Our past is just that, a past. I had no knowledge of Arthur's intentions, nor did I have any part in the theft." But Detective Petit isn't convinced, his line of questioning relentless as he delves deeper into Sarah's past. With each passing moment, the weight of suspicion grows heavier, and Sarah finds herself teetering on the edge of incrimination. As Elena is called into the interrogation room, her heart sinks with a heavy sense of foreboding. She can't shake the feeling that something is deeply amiss, that the rules are being flagrantly disregarded, and her daughter's innocence is being callously disregarded. "Detective," she begins, her voice trembling with a mixture of anger and desperation. "This is an unofficial discussion. My daughter is only 16 years old, and this questioning is not valid." Detective Petit regards Elena with a cool detachment, his expression betraying no hint of sympathy. "Mrs. Spencer," he replies evenly, "I assure you, we are simply gathering information to aid in our investigation. Now, if you would please answer the questions." Elena's mind reels as she struggles to process the implications of the detective's accusations. Could her daughter truly be involved in such nefarious dealings? And if so, what role did she play in the theft of the Mona Lisa? Elena's frustration boils over as she confronts the detective. "My daughter is only 16 years old, and this questioning is not valid. Mrs. Spencer," he says sternly, "I can assure you that I am fully committed to solving this case. Now, let's focus on the matter at hand." "I saw you on the cameras," Detective Petit accuses, his voice rising with indignation. "I watched as you meticulously crafted your narrative, captivating everyone with your speech. But you don't convince me. What's the point of these lectures if they only serve to distract attention and allow the thief to steal undisturbed?" Elena's brow furrows in disbelief, her frustration simmering just beneath the surface. "But how can you expect to catch the thief?" she presses, her voice tinged with desperation. "If you're too busy interrogating innocent bystanders." Detective Petit's gaze softens slightly, a hint of sympathy flickering in his eyes. "I assure you, Mrs. Spencer," he replies, his voice gentle yet resolute, "every lead, every piece of information, no matter how insignificant it may seem, brings us one step closer to solving this case." Elena's voice wavers as she struggles to convey the depth of her passion and her innocence in the matter. "I have dreamed of this trip for years," she confesses, her words tinged with sorrow. "I love art in all its forms, and Da Vinci was the subject of my bachelor's degree. How could I not know about him or this painting?" Tears well in Elena's eyes as she recalls the joy and excitement she felt at finally experiencing the masterpiece firsthand. "It's one thing to know and appreciate art," she continues, her voice trembling with emotion, "and another entirely to be accused of complicity in a crime." She takes a shaky breath, her resolve strengthening as she speaks. "I was simply sharing my knowledge and enthusiasm with my family," she explains, her words coming in a rush. And then other enthusiasts joined in, drawn to the magic of Da Vinci's genius. But even as she speaks, doubt gnaws at the edges of Elena's mind. How could she have been so blind to the truth? How could she not have seen the signs that something was amiss? Detective Petit regards her with a mixture of skepticism and sympathy, his expression betraying nothing as he listens to her impassioned plea. "Yes, I understand how you passionately joined these auctions on the dark web," he remarks, his tone laden with accusation. Elena's heart sinks as she realizes the damning implications of his words. She is speechless as he holds up her phone in his possession and reveals the incriminating evidence stored within. In that moment, Elena's world crumbles around her, her sense of innocence shattered by the harsh light of reality. Detective Petit's facade cracks for a moment, a flicker of annoyance crossing his features before he regains his composure. But Elena can't shake the feeling of unease that gnaws at her conscience. As the interrogation continues, the detective reveals damning evidence that implicates her in illegal activities on the dark web, where stolen works of art are auctioned off to the highest bidder. Suddenly, it dawns on Elena the chilling realization that she was present at the scene of a famous robbery, surrounded by potential suspects. Her mind races as she analyzes the motives and alibis of those around her, desperately searching for answers in a sea of uncertainty. But before she can voice her suspicions, Detective Petit cuts her off with a chilling declaration. "Mrs. Spencer," he intones gravely, "officially, you are now the main suspect in this investigation." As the detective calls Matteo into the interrogation room, the young man enters with a dazed expression, rubbing at the bump on his head where he had collided with the ground earlier. His confusion is palpable as he takes in the stern faces of Detective Petit and his assistant, Corinne Desir. "Sit down, Matteo," Detective Petit instructs, his voice firm but not unkind. Matteo complies, sinking into the chair with a bewildered expression. "What's going on?" he asks, his voice tinged with uncertainty. Detective Petit exchanges a glance with Corinne before addressing Matteo. "We have reason to believe that you may have information regarding the theft of the Mona Lisa," he explains, his tone measured. Matteo's eyes widen in shock, the gravity of the situation finally sinking in. "The Mona Lisa? But I don't understand. How could I have anything to do with that?" he stammers, his confusion evident. Detective Petit sighs, realizing that Matteo is still grappling with the events unfolding around him. "Matteo, we need your cooperation to piece together what happened," he says patiently. "Can you tell us where you were when the theft occurred?" Matteo struggles to recall the events of that fateful day, his memory clouded by the chaos and confusion of the tear gas attack. I was with my family at the Louvre," he replies hesitantly. "But then everything happened so fast, and I don't remember much after that." Detective Petit nods understandingly, noting the bump on Matteo's head as he considers his next question. "Matteo, did you see anything suspicious before or during the theft?" he inquires, his gaze probing. Matteo furrows his brow, his mind racing as he tries to piece together fragments of memory. I'm not sure," he admits, his voice tinged with frustration. "Everything happened so quickly, and I think I hit my head on the ground earlier, so my memory is a bit fuzzy." Corinne, noticing the blood on Matteo's hand, approaches with concern etched on her features. "Here, let me help you with that," she offers gently, offering him a bandage. Grateful for the gesture of kindness amidst the chaos, Matteo nods his thanks and allows the assistant to tend to his injury. As she carefully applies the bandage, Matteo's mind races, trying to make sense of the situation swirling around him. Meanwhile, Detective Petit watches the exchange with a sense of impatience, eager to bring an end to what he perceives as a futile endeavor. "I saw on the cameras how you never left the tablet even when your father threatened you," he interjects, his tone cutting through the air like a knife. "Tell us, Matteo, what were you doing that was so important?" Matteo's eyes widen in surprise at the detective's accusation, his mind racing to recall the events of that day. I was just playing a game," he admits sheepishly, his cheeks flushing with embarrassment. "I didn't realize what was happening around me until it was too late." As Detective Petit presses Matteo for more details about the game he was playing, the young man hesitates before responding. "It's a treasure hunting game," he admits reluctantly. "We're trying to find clues and solve puzzles to uncover a hidden treasure, and now we're trying to find a mythical artifact known as Arthur's sword." Detective Petit's eyebrows raise in interest at Matteo's explanation. "A treasure-hunting game, you say?" he repeats, a hint of skepticism in his voice. And yet the real treasure was right in front of you all along. Matteo's eyes widen in realization as the detective's words sink in. Not so different from the treasure, he murmurs in awe, his mind racing with the implications of his own words. But before Matteo can fully grasp the gravity of the situation, Detective Petit drops a bombshell that sends shockwaves through the room. "Your sister told us all about Arthur," he reveals, his voice laced with accusation. "Arthur's sword artifact may be cool, but not Arthur, alias Alain Moineau, the theft." The detective's demeanor shifts from skepticism to accusation as he confronts Matteo with damning evidence. "We already know what treasures you are hunting, and especially with whom," he declares, his tone laced with disdain. Matteo's breath catches in his throat as he realizes the gravity of the situation. "Alain Moineau, the theft?" he murmurs, his voice barely audible. The detective's gaze hardens as he moves to confiscate Matteo's tablet, his expression unreadable. "You're playing with fire, Matteo," he warns, his tone laced with menace. "And now you'll pay the price for your recklessness." As Matteo watches in stunned silence, the weight of his actions finally dawns on him. With each passing moment, the walls close in around him, trapping him in a web of deceit and betrayal from which there may be no escape. Detective Petit's hand trembles slightly as he reaches for Matteo's tablet, his nerves frayed by the weight of the situation. "We'll find all the evidence we need on this tablet," he mutters to himself. His voice tinged with a nervous edge. "He thinks he's brave, playing games with us like this." Turning to his assistant, Corinne, Detective Petit's expression is fraught with urgency. "Escort him to the cell," Detective Petit orders, his voice firm and unwavering. "We're not done yet. We'll find the evidence we need, no matter how long it takes." Then instructs her, his voice strained. "Start the search. We need to find any connections to Alain Moineau, any evidence of their collaboration." As the minutes tick by, Detective Petit's heart pounds in his chest, his mind racing with the implications of what they may uncover. He knows that their findings could change the course of the investigation, leading them one step closer to the truth behind the theft of the Mona Lisa. The detective's persistence in calling Stefan finally pays off as the man is brought into the interrogation room. Stefan's eyes widen in shock as the accusation is hurled at him. "So tell us quickly how you participated in the robbery. We know it's you," Detective Petit demands, his tone sharp with authority. Stefan's hands tremble as he raises them in a defensive gesture. "Good people, what are you saying? I have no knowledge of any robbery," he protests, his voice tinged with disbelief. Detective Petit's patience wears thin as he cuts off Stefan's denial. "Finish with the charades," he snaps, his frustration palpable. "We're in a time crunch and we have no more patience for formalities. How did you do it?" Stefan's mind races as he struggles to comprehend the gravity of the situation. "I don't know," he stammers, his voice trembling with uncertainty. But the detective refuses to let up, pressing for answers with relentless determination. "Then explain why everyone was passed out on the floor, but you had nothing," he demands, his tone accusatory. Stefan is taken aback, feeling the weight of suspicion bearing down on him. He struggles to come up with a satisfactory explanation, his mind racing with uncertainty. "I have no idea why I didn't pass out," he admits, his voice tinged with frustration. "But I can assure you, I am not involved in this robbery." Detective Petit's expression remains impassive, his skepticism evident as he listens to Stefan's defense. "Surely you're all innocent and blameless," he retorts sarcastically, his tone dripping with disdain. Perhaps the painting disappeared as if by magic, or maybe it teleported itself into another dimension. Stefan's heart sinks at the detective's cutting remark, realizing that his words are doing little to sway the investigator's opinion. "Detective, please," he pleads, desperation creeping into his voice. "I ask you to believe in me and my family. We were not and will not be involved in this kind of actions." But Detective Petit remains unmoved, his focus unwavering as he continues to interrogate Stefan. "Of course," he scoffs, his tone mocking. "And the 5-star hotel where you stayed, and the luxurious shopping you could afford on your teacher's salary?" Stefan's cheeks flush with embarrassment as he struggles to find a response. "I've been saving for some time." That he offers weakly, his voice trailing off. Sensing that further questioning will yield little progress, the tired detective finally relents, sending Stefan to the cell without concluding the investigation. With a heavy heart, Stefan realizes that his fate now hangs in the balance, his only hope lying in the truth he knows deep down in his heart. Back in the cramped cell, tensions between Sarah and Matteo reach a boiling point as they argue heatedly, their voices echoing off the cold walls. Sarah's revelation about her boyfriend only adds fuel to the fire, leaving their mother, Elena, shocked and dismayed. "Are we here because of your boyfriend?" Matteo accuses, his voice laced with bitterness as he turns to Sarah. Sarah's innocent reply only serves to further inflame the situation. "Now, we're not even friends," she retorts nonchalantly, her tone dripping with indifference. Elena's heart sinks at the revelation, her mind reeling with disbelief. "But did you have relationships?" she stammers, her words barely audible over the din of their argument. "Did you get to know each other better?" Sarah shrugs dismissively, her indifference palpable. "It was a long time ago," she replies curtly, her gaze averted. "I don't even remember anymore." Stefan interjects, attempting to diffuse the tension before it escalates further. "Let's stay calm," he urges, his voice steady despite the turmoil around them. "It's my fault for not fainting, and it's clear on the cameras that I didn't pass out." Elena's eyes widen in shock at Stefan's revelation, her mind racing to make sense of his words. "Who says that? That stupid detective," she demands, her voice rising in disbelief. Matteo's expression darkens as realization dawns upon him. "Does that mean you've seen everything?" he asks incredulously, his tone dripping with disdain. When I held you all in my arms?" Stefan attempts to defend himself, but his words are met with skepticism from his family. "Yes, now I understand," Matteo says with disdain, his eyes narrowed at Stefan. "Because of you, I have a bandaged head. You took care of me intensely." Stefan's brow furrows in defense, his tone tinged with frustration. "But how many arms do you think I have?" he retorts, his voice rising slightly. "Sure, and why not give up on me first?" Elena interjects, her voice calm but firm as she tries to mediate the escalating tension. "Let's not point fingers," she says, her gaze moving between Matteo and Stefan. "We're all in this together, and blaming each other won't solve anything." Sarah nods in agreement, her expression solemn. "Mom's right," she adds, her tone serious. "We need to focus on finding a way out of here, not arguing amongst ourselves." Elena interrupts, a glimmer of understanding flickering in her eyes as she reaches into her bag and retrieves a small box of pills. "Wait, I know," she exclaims, her voice tinged with excitement. "Look, because of these, you didn't faint. It's a treatment." Curious, Stefan takes the box of pills and reads the instructions carefully, his mind racing as he considers the implications of Elena's revelation. It's true, he murmurs, his voice tinged with disbelief. This medication must have increased my resistance to the tear gas. Sarah sniffles, her tears threatening to spill over as she looks up at her family with a pout. You promised us shopping and an unforgettable vacation, she whimpers. Matteo winces, rubbing his bandaged head with a grimace. Well, this will really be unforgettable, especially since my head hurts so much, he grumbles. Elena shoots Stefan a pointed look, her frustration evident. Mother of my child, how could you hit yourself so badly? She asks, her tone laced with concern. Stefan shrugs sheepishly, trying to lighten the mood. Probably from those pesky shoelaces earlier, or from staring at the tablet for too long, he jokes, earning a weak chuckle from Matteo. Elena sighs, shaking her head in resignation. Well, when you're done nursing your injuries, we'll probably be stuck here for a while, she remarks dryly, earning a groan from Sarah. Sarah's lower lip quivers as she looks up at her parents. Is it true? Aren't we leaving today? She asks, her voice trembling. Matteo pats her on the shoulder, trying to offer some comfort. How can we not, especially since the discounts are waiting for us around the corner? He teases, trying to lighten the mood. Stefan chuckles, nodding in agreement. And you, my dear, won't be present to empty our wallets with your shopping spree, he adds with a wink, earning a playful swat from Elena. The guard's unexpected announcement leaves the Spencer family in a state of disbelief, their eyes wide with shock as they process the news. Stefan's expression mirrors the astonishment felt by the rest of the family. Are you sure? He asks, his voice tinged with disbelief as he looks to the guard for confirmation. Elena, ever the pragmatist, tugs at Stefan's sleeve with a wry smile. Is that your curiosity now? Perhaps you're right, she concedes, her voice softening with emotion. But still, I can't help but wonder who would go to such lengths for us. Matteo grins, his eyes sparkling with mischief. Maybe it was a secret admirer, he suggests playfully, earning a chuckle from Sarah. Elena chuckles softly, shaking her head in amusement. Well, whoever it was, we owe them a debt of gratitude, she remarks, her voice filled with sincerity. As the Spencer family reflects on their miraculous turn of events, Elena can't help but feel a sense of relief wash over her. These detectives were certainly caught off guard. She adds with a hint of amusement, her tone tinged with irony. Stefan nods in agreement, his determination evident in his expression. You're very right. The detectives were unprepared, and we have a family name to clean up, he declares, his voice filled with conviction. Sarah lets out a dramatic sigh, placing her hands over her eyes. I don't think so, she mutters under her breath. I have discounts waiting for me, fashion, perfumes, haute cuisine. Sarah turns to her mother with pleading eyes. Please, save us from here. I don't want this ever, she implores, her voice filled with desperation. Elena sighs, her heart heavy with empathy for her daughter's distress. Please, we have to help them. Don't you know how they are? She pleads, her voice tinged with concern. With a mischievous glint in her eye, Sarah looks at the confused expressions of Stefan and Matteo. Oh, that's what I was afraid of, she muses, a playful smile tugging at her lips. And look at them. They have no idea where to go. Do you want to bet? Laughing together, Elena and Sarah make a wager, their laughter echoing through the street. Bet, they exclaim in unison, their amusement contagious. Stefan and Matteo suddenly halt in their tracks, their brows furrowing in confusion. Wait, where are we going? They ask in unison, their voices filled with uncertainty. Sarah bursts into laughter, triumphant in her prediction. I won, she exclaims, her laughter ringing out loudly. I said it wouldn't take them 1 minute to say that. And how long has it been? Glancing at the timer on her phone, Sarah grins. 53 seconds, she declares proudly, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Elena chuckles, shaking her head in amusement. That's it, you won. The golden card is yours, but only for 53 times 10. That is 530 seconds, she teases, her laughter filling the air. Stefan scratches his head, a bemused expression on his face. What are you up to? Where are we going? He asks, his confusion evident. Where? To our Savior, the one who freed us and was so generous with us, Elena muses, her eyes shining with gratitude. Matteo scratches his head, a puzzled expression on his face. And where do we find him? He asks, his tone filled with uncertainty. Elena clears her throat, pronouncing an address in a comical way in French with funny connotations in English. We head to Le Café de la Liberté, she announces dramatically, a playful twinkle in her eye. Stefan nods in approval. Great, he exclaims, his excitement palpable. How did you get it? Sarah smirks, a mischievous glint in her eyes. While you were talking to the guard, I read his release note and detained him, she confesses, her tone teasing. Elena chuckles, patting Sarah on the back. What a good memory you have, she praises, her voice filled with admiration. Sarah nods eagerly, her enthusiasm growing. How great! Let's get there faster, she urges, a sense of urgency in her voice. I'm waiting for a spending card, she adds, rummaging through her bag impatiently. Matteo rolls his eyes playfully, shaking his head. In your dreams, maybe, he quips, a playful smirk on his lips. As the Spencer family arrives at Le Café de la Liberté, Stefan suggests that they remain hidden during the first phase to better observe their surroundings and potentially recognize someone. They huddle behind a nearby bush, peering out cautiously. After a few moments of observation, Matteo's eyes widen in recognition as he spots a familiar figure among the crowd. There he is, she whispers urgently, nodding towards a young man who seems to be engrossed in conversation with a group of people. That's Arthur. Sarah's heart skips a beat as she sees him, a mixture of emotions washing over her. Arthur, she murmurs, her voice barely above a whisper. Elena's eyes narrow as he takes in the sight of the young man, a sense of realization dawning on him. So that's Arthur, she says quietly, her voice tinged with disbelief. Stefan nods in agreement, his gaze fixed on Arthur. And Alain Moineau alias the famous thief known to the detectives, he adds, his voice low with suspicion. As they watch from their hidden vantage point, the Spencer family braces themselves for the confrontation that lies ahead. The Spencer family is taken aback as Arthur suddenly appears behind them, his presence catching them completely off guard. Here's the Spencer family, welcome, Arthur announces cheerfully, his tone filled with an air of nonchalance. Elena's eyes flash with anger as she grabs Arthur by the collar, her grip tight and threatening. You are the scoundrel who played with my daughter's heart, she accuses, her voice laced with fury. Stefan steps forward, pushing Elena aside with a protective stance. I think this honor belongs to me, he growls, his fists clenched and ready for action. Sarah's voice rings out from behind them, filled with confusion and concern. What's happened to you all? She cries out. Arthur isn't to blame. I left him when he asked me to marry him. Stefan and Elena exchange incredulous glances, stunned by Sarah's revelation. Marriage at 16 or 15 years old? Rascally corrupt minors? Stefan mutters under his breath, shaking his head in disbelief. Arthur attempts to defend himself, his voice tinged with sincerity. You can punch me as much as you want, he says earnestly, But that won't erase my feelings. I sincerely love Sarah. That's why I wanted to free you all from prison. I know how much she loves you and how important you are to her." Sarah's eyes fill with tears of happiness as she gazes at Arthur, her heart overflowing with emotion. "Did you do this for me?" "For us," she whispers, her voice trembling with emotion. Arthur smiles softly, his gaze filled with love and devotion. "That's nothing, my dear Sarah," he replies, his voice filled with sincerity. "I would do anything for you." As Eric, Alain's uncle, makes his appearance, he greets them warmly. "Alain, I didn't know you were expecting such important guests," he remarks with a smile. "Why don't we host them for a while? Family is the most important." Alain nods in agreement, a grin spreading across his face. "Uncle Eric, I present to you my friend Sarah," he says proudly, gesturing towards Sarah. Eric turns to Elena, his eyes twinkling with admiration. "It is clear from whom Elena inherits her beauty," he comments with a gallant smile, his voice smooth and charming. Stefan watches the interaction unfold with a mixture of disbelief and unease, his expression tense. He can't help but feel a twinge of jealousy as Eric kisses Elena's hand, a gesture that does not go unnoticed by him. As everyone piled into Eric's luxurious car, they embarked on a journey toward his mansion, a sprawling estate that resembled a castle set upon a vast expanse of land spanning over 30,000 square meters. The Spencer family was rendered speechless as they approached the magnificent property, their eyes widening in awe and wonder. The mansion stood tall and imposing, with grandiose architecture and intricate details adorning its facade. Lush gardens surrounded the estate, adding to its splendor and elegance. As they pulled up to the grand entrance, the Spencer family couldn't help but feel a sense of reverence and astonishment at the sheer opulence of Alain's family home. Stepping out of the car, they took in the breathtaking surroundings, marveling at the beauty and grandeur of the estate. The sight of the mansion left them in awe, its magnificence a testament to the wealth and prestige of Alain's family. With wide eyes and open mouths, they followed Eric towards the entrance, eager to explore the secrets hidden within the walls of the magnificent castle-like mansion. At the entrance of the mansion, a line of 10 servants stood waiting for Eric's instructions. With a commanding presence, Eric led the guests inside, where a spectacular dinner awaited them. Addressing the servants, he said sternly, "I hope that everything is flawless tonight." As the servants busied themselves with their tasks, one of them, visibly nervous, began to shake as he carried a tray of champagne glasses. Before anyone could react, the tray slipped from his grasp and the glasses shattered on the floor, spilling champagne everywhere. Eric's demeanor shifted instantly from composed to furious as he glared at the hapless servant. "You imbecile!" he bellowed, his voice echoing through the grand hall. "How dare you be so careless in front of our guests?" The servant recoiled under Eric's wrath, stammering an apology as he scrambled to clean up the mess. But Eric's anger was palpable as he berated the servant in front of the Spencer family, his words dripping with disdain. The Spencer family exchanged uncomfortable glances, feeling disappointed by Eric's behavior. As Eric took his seat at the head of the table, the Spencer family noticed something peculiar. There was no chair, not even an empty one, next to him on the right. Instead, there was a chair adorned with a portrait of the Mona Lisa. Elena nudged Stefan, her eyebrows furrowed in confusion. Sarah rubbed her eyes in disbelief, wondering if she was seeing things. Matteo started pointing with his finger, stuttering as he tried to make sense of the unexpected sight. Eric gestured towards the empty chair with a smile, addressing the Spencer family. "Allow me to introduce our distinguished guest," he said, his voice filled with reverence. "The one and only Mona Lisa." The Spencer family exchanged bewildered glances, unsure of how to react to the unusual addition to the dinner table. While they were accustomed to lavish gatherings, having a portrait as a guest was a first for them. Eric continued, his tone respectful and dignified. "Such distinguished guests deserve to be honored in every way," he explained, his words emphasizing the importance of hospitality and respect. Though taken aback by the unexpected addition, the Spencer family nodded politely, acknowledging Eric's gesture. As they settled in for dinner, they couldn't help but feel a sense of intrigue and curiosity about the unique company they found themselves in. Sarah's gaze shifted to Alain, seeking answers in his eyes, but he appeared just as puzzled as she was. With a furrowed brow, she turned to him, her voice filled with concern. "Alain, does this mean, were you involved in the theft of the Mona Lisa?" Before Alain could respond, Eric interjected sharply, his tone tinged with indignation. "Careful with your words, young lady," he cautioned, his eyes narrowing in warning. "What theft are you referring to?" Sarah hesitated, taken aback by Eric's sudden intensity. I'm sorry, I didn't mean," she stammered, her words trailing off uncertainly. But Eric continued, his voice dripping with accusation. "And by the way, do you even know who Vincenzo Perugia is?" he demanded, his gaze piercing. Elena, sensing the tension in the air, intervened hesitantly. He was the thief who believed the Mona Lisa belonged to Italy," she offered tentatively. "He committed the famous robbery on August 21st, 1911. But Eric's expression darkened, his patience wearing thin. "Stop, Elena," he snapped, his voice laced with frustration. "I'm losing patience and respect for you." Then, in a dramatic revelation, Eric revealed the truth behind the infamous theft. "That madman you so casually refer to was actually my grandfather," he declared, his voice trembling with emotion. "And the Mona Lisa? She wasn't just a painting. She was his wife, Lisa." Gasps filled the room as Eric's words hung in the air, the weight of his revelations sinking in. "He ordered and paid for that painting," Eric continued, his voice shaking with emotion. "But Da Vinci didn't respect the agreement. He refused to give her back." A heavy silence settled over the room as Eric's words sank in, the magnitude of the injustice becoming painfully clear. "Moreover," Eric continued, his voice growing stronger with resolve, "my grandfather was imprisoned while Lisa, my grandmother, died in agony. My father promised to fix this injustice," Eric continued, his voice quivering with emotion, "but he was not able to fulfill that promise. However, today I stand before you, having managed to uncover the truth and reclaim the immense injustice that was done to us." As his words hung in the air, a palpable sense of suspense and drama enveloped the room. The revelation of Eric's familial connection to the Mona Lisa theft cast a shadow of mystery over the evening, leaving the Spencer family reeling with shock and disbelief. Elena's eyes widened in realization as the pieces of the puzzle fell into place. So that's why," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper, her mind racing with newfound understanding. Stefan's expression softened, his features reflecting a mixture of empathy and sympathy for Eric's family plight. "I had no idea," he admitted quietly, his voice filled with remorse. "I'm so sorry for what your family has endured." Sarah and Matteo exchanged glances, their eyes wide with astonishment. The gravity of Eric's revelation weighed heavily on them, the enormity of the injustice unfolding before their very eyes. In the midst of the tension-filled silence, Eric stood tall, his gaze unwavering as he addressed the Spencer family once more. "But now, with your presence here tonight," he declared, his voice filled with determination, "we have the opportunity to right the wrongs of the past and ensure that justice is served." "My father promised to fix this injustice," Eric continued, his voice quivering with emotion, "but he was not able to fulfill that promise. However, today, I stand before you having managed to uncover the truth and reclaim the immense injustice that was done to us." As his words hung in the air, a palpable sense of suspense and drama enveloped the room. The revelation of Eric's familial connection to the Mona Lisa theft cast a shadow of mystery over the evening, leaving the Spencer family reeling with shock and disbelief. Eric stood tall, his gaze unwavering as he addressed the Spencer family once more. "But now, with your presence here tonight," repeating his voice filled with determination, "we have the opportunity to right the wrongs of the past and ensure that justice is served." With those words, the atmosphere in the room shifted, charged with a newfound sense of purpose and resolve. The mystery surrounding the Mona Lisa theft had deepened, but with Eric's revelation, the truth had finally come to light. As the Spencer family sat around the table listening intently to Eric's story, Elena's curiosity got the better of her. "But why us?" she asked, her voice filled with genuine curiosity. "Why do we have the privilege of confessing to us and being present with you now?" Eric's gaze softened as he regarded Elena with a mixture of sadness and gratitude. "I've known about Alan's feelings for your daughter for a long time," he confessed, his voice tinged with regret. "And somehow I saw your family as an honest and reliable one that could help." Stefan's brow furrowed in confusion. "But how can we help you?" he asked, his voice laced with uncertainty. Eric sighed heavily, the weight of his words hanging heavily in the air. "By being a good family for Alan," he replied solemnly. "If I won't be any more, Alan is my only relative left. He is everything to me." As the significance of Eric's words sank in, the Spencer family exchanged glances, their hearts heavy with the realization of the responsibility that had been placed upon them. With Alan's future hanging in the balance, they knew that they had to rise to the occasion and prove themselves worthy of the trust that Eric had placed in them. As the tension in the room reached its peak, the door swung open with a resounding creak, and a hulking figure stepped into the room, flanked by a menacing entourage of 20 mobsters. Angelo, the notorious mobster, exuded an aura of danger and menace as he surveyed the scene before him with cold, calculating eyes. The Spencer family recoiled in fear, their hearts pounding with dread as they realized the gravity of the situation. Eric's betrayal had unleashed a storm of violence and chaos, and now they found themselves caught in the crossfire of a deadly power struggle. Angelo's voice cut through the air like a knife as he addressed Eric with chilling determination. "You thought you could betray me and get away with it?" he growled, his tone laced with venomous rage. "I want that painting, and I'll stop at nothing to get it." Eric stood his ground, his fists clenched in defiance as he faced off against Angelo and his ruthless gang. "I paid you what we agreed upon," he retorted, his voice tinged with desperation. "You have no right to come here and demand more." But Angelo was not to be swayed, his eyes burning with a fierce determination as he advanced on Eric with deadly intent. The room erupted into chaos as Eric's men sprang into action, engaging in a brutal struggle for control of the painting. The Spencer family watched in horror as the violence unfolded before their eyes, their senses overwhelmed by the cacophony of shouts and gunfire. They knew that they had to find a way to escape, to evade the clutches of both Angelo and Eric's warring factions. With adrenaline coursing through their veins, they darted for cover, seeking refuge in the shadows as the battle raged on around them. They moved quickly and quietly, their hearts pounding with fear as they narrowly avoided being caught in the crossfire. But as the struggle reached its climax, it became clear that Eric and his men were outnumbered and outmatched. Despite their valiant efforts, they were no match for Angelo's ruthless determination and overwhelming firepower. In the end, Eric was defeated, his forces decimated by Angelo and his ruthless mobsters. The painting, the object of so much greed and betrayal, was seized by Angelo's men, disappearing into the night along with their hopes of redemption. As the dust settled and the echoes of gunfire faded away, the Spencer family emerged from hiding, their faces pale and drawn with shock and disbelief. They had narrowly escaped with their lives, but the events of that fateful night would haunt them for years to come, a grim reminder of the dangers that lurked in the shadows of the criminal underworld. As the detective approached the Spencer family, their faces etched with a mixture of fear and resignation, Elena couldn't help but feel a pang of despair. "I always knew you had a connection with the mafia," the detective accused, his voice dripping with suspicion. Stefan bristled at the accusation, his jaw clenched in defiance. Detective Petit's expression remains impassive. "And who is guilty of these crimes?" He shot back, gesturing towards the wounded figures strewn across the floor. "One lifetime will not be enough to pay for everything." Then the detective remained unmoved, his gaze cold and unwavering as he scrutinized the Spencer family before him. "You can't deny your involvement in this," he insisted, his tone accusatory. "We have evidence linking you to the scene of the crime." Elena felt a surge of frustration welling up inside her as she struggled to find the right words to defend herself. "We were just innocent bystanders caught up in all of this," she protested, her voice trembling with emotion. "We had nothing to do with the theft or the violence that ensued." But the detective remained unconvinced, his skepticism apparent as he continued to press the family for answers. "You expect me to believe that?" he scoffed, his tone laced with disbelief. "It's clear that you're hiding something, and I intend to get to the bottom of it." As the reality of their situation began to sink in, Sarah felt a sense of despair wash over her. "I can't take this anymore," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "I'm done with all of this." And with those heartbreaking words, the Spencer family found themselves once again facing the harsh reality of their fate, their hopes of redemption slipping further and further from their grasp with each passing moment. As the Spencer family languished in their bleak prison cell, their hopes dwindling with each passing day, Alon refused to give up on them. Determined to right the wrongs that had befallen them, he spared no expense in hiring the best lawyer money could buy, hoping against hope that justice would prevail. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months as the Spencer family anxiously awaited news of their fate. Their lawyer worked tirelessly to build a case in their defense, marshaling evidence and mounting arguments to prove their innocence. Finally, the day of the trial arrived, and as the Spencer family sat nervously in the courtroom, their hearts heavy with anticipation, Their lawyer delivered a masterful performance, dismantling the prosecution's case with surgical precision. Witnesses were called, evidence was presented, and arguments were made as the courtroom buzzed with the tension of the moment. And when the final verdict was delivered, it was a moment of triumph for the Spencer family, as they were acquitted of all charges and set free. As they stepped out into the warm embrace of freedom once more, the Spencer family felt a wave of relief wash over them, knowing that they had finally been vindicated. And though their journey had been fraught with danger and uncertainty, they knew that they had emerged stronger and wiser for the experience. As they bid farewell to France and boarded their plane back home, the Spencer family reflected on the twists and turns of their unforgettable vacation. And though it had been far from the idyllic getaway they had envisioned, they knew that it was a journey they would never forget, a journey that had tested their courage, strengthened their bonds, and ultimately brought them closer together as a family. As they returned home, the Spencer family welcomed Alan with open arms, embracing him as a new member of their family, just as Eric had hoped. Despite the trials and tribulations they had faced together, Alan had proven himself to be a steadfast and loyal companion, standing by their side through thick and thin. With his unwavering support and unwavering determination, Alan had earned their trust and respect, becoming an integral part of their tight-knit family unit. Together, they forged ahead into the future, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead with courage and resilience. With a sense of closure settling over their hearts, Elena finally dared to voice the question that had been lingering in the back of her mind since their tumultuous journey began. "And in the end," she began, her voice soft yet resolute, "where did the Mona Lisa remain? In whose hands?" Alan, now fully integrated into the Spencer family, exchanged a knowing glance with Stefan before turning to face Alina with a reassuring smile. "In the end," Alan replied, his voice steady and sure, "the Mona Lisa remained where it rightfully belongs." And with a subtle wink directed at Sarah, Alan reaffirmed their shared triumph and the newfound unity within their family.